the rain always reminds me of her. It mirrors the relentless downpour inside my soul. It's been a week since I found the message, a week since the carefully constructed world I built crumbled into dust. Eleanor, my wife of 20 years, the woman I thought I knew intimately, was having an affair. Not a fleeting moment of weakness, but a sustained, passionate betrayal. The details, they're a blur of stolen glances, whispered phone calls, and cryptic messages hidden within her meticulously organized life. I keep replaying our memories, searching for cracks, for warning signs I missed. Was it the gradual fading of her laughter? The increasing distance in her touch? I foolishly attributed it to stress, to the pressures of her volunteer work at the local art gallery. I poured my heart into my work as an architect, believing we were building a future together, a solid foundation of shared dreams. Now, I realize the foundation was built on sand. The rose on my desk is a relic from our first anniversary, a symbol of a love that's withered and died. I feel like an intruder in my own life, observing from a distance as the woman I loved disappears before my eyes. The chess game on the desk remains unfinished, a metaphor for our stalled lives, our unrealized potential. The city lights outside seem mocking, oblivious to the devastation within these four walls. 3:17 a.m. That's the time I found the text message. It felt like the universe had paused, holding its breath before revealing the most painful truth. The pocket watch belonged to my grandfather, a man of unwavering integrity. He always said time was our most precious commodity. Irony, isn't it? I spent years carefully measuring time, planning for our future, while she was wasting it on someone else. The stillness of the watch face is a stark reminder of the frozen moment, the moment my world shattered. I examined the message again and again, each word a fresh stab of pain. It wasn't a passionate declaration of undying love, but a series of casual, flirtatious exchanges. Yet, the casualness made it all the more devastating. It suggested a deliberate choice, a calculated deception. I remember the countless nights we spent discussing our dreams, our fears, our hopes for the future. Were those conversations all a performance? Was the affection I felt genuine, or merely a product of shared history and habit? The weight of unanswered questions is crushing. I walked for hours, driven by a desperate need to escape, to outrun the suffocating reality of my life. The beach was our sanctuary, a place where we used to walk hand in hand, sharing secrets and dreams. Now, it felt like a vast, empty expanse, mirroring the emptiness within me. The waves washing ashore seemed to mock my pain, a constant reminder of the relentless passage of time. I tried to conjure up images of her, of our life together, but they were tainted by the bitter taste of betrayal. I remember her telling me how much she loved the ocean, how it represented freedom and endless possibilities. She found solace in the vastness of the sea, a place where she could lose herself and rediscover herself. But this freedom came at a terrible price. The wind whipped around me, carrying with it the scent of salt and regret. I felt utterly alone, adrift in a sea of sorrow. I wondered if she ever felt this alone, this lost. I started searching. Obsessively searching for answers, for clues, for anything that might explain what happened. I went through every email, every text message, every credit card statement. It was a desperate attempt to understand, to rationalize, to find some semblance of control in a situation that felt utterly chaotic. The office, usually a place of order and precision, became a battlefield. Documents were scattered, files were overturned, in a frantic hunt for any hidden truth. I felt like a detective, piecing together fragments of a shattered narrative. The photograph of Eleanor on my desk seemed to be judging me, a silent accusation of my naivete. I remember taking that picture, how happy we both looked, how confident in our future. Now, it felt like a cruel joke, a carefully constructed illusion. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, amplifying the feeling of anxiety and dread. The whiskey burned a path down my throat, but it didn't ease the pain. I sat by the fire, letting the flickering flames dance in my eyes, trying to find some comfort in the warmth. The living room, once a haven of peace and tranquility, now felt like a tomb. Every object held a memory, a reminder of the life we had built together. The antique furniture, the carefully chosen artwork, the books we had collected over the years, all testaments to a love that was now irrevocably broken. I remembered Eleanor telling me how much she loved this room, how it felt like a sanctuary from the outside world. She would often curl up in this armchair with a book, lost in her own world. Now, some of the messages were in Russian. I didn't understand everything, but the intent was clear. A language barrier, once a source of amusement, now felt like a deliberate attempt to create distance, to build a wall between us. Each translated phrase was a fresh wound. The casual intimacy, the shared jokes, the unspoken desires, all revealed a side of Eleanor I never knew existed. I felt like I was intruding on a private world, a world that was deliberately hidden from me. I spent hours trying to decipher the messages, desperately searching for clues, for explanations, for some sign that this wasn't real. But the evidence was overwhelming. The digital trail led me to a place I never wanted to go. The realization that she had been leading a double life was almost too much to bear. The art gallery. It was her passion, her sanctuary, the place where she felt most alive. I had always supported her career, attending her exhibitions, praising her work. I never suspected that her passion was also fueling a secret life. Seeing her with him, laughing, engaging in intimate conversation, was like a punch to the gut. He looked familiar. Older, perhaps, but with the same confident smile, the same knowing eyes. I felt a surge of anger, of jealousy, of betrayal. It wasn't just the affair itself, but the deception, the years of lies, the carefully constructed facade. I watched them from a distance, feeling like a ghost in my own life. The vibrant colors of the artwork seemed to mock my monochrome existence. She left a note. A short, impersonal note that offered no explanation, no apology, no remorse. Just a few words that shattered the last vestiges of hope. The bedroom felt empty, devoid of warmth, devoid of love. Her clothes were strewn across the bed, a chaotic reminder of her hasty departure. The open suitcase suggested a planned escape, a deliberate severing of ties. I felt like I was standing in the ruins of our life, surrounded by the debris of broken dreams. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of my own ragged breathing. The shadows seemed to lengthen, enveloping me in a darkness I couldn't escape. The divorce proceedings were brutal. A public airing of our dirty laundry, a relentless dissection of our lives. Eleanor remained composed, defiant, refusing to acknowledge the pain she had caused. She painted me as a controlling, emotionally unavailable man, blaming me for her unhappiness. The accusations stung, even though I knew they were largely untrue. I felt like I was being judged, condemned, stripped of my dignity. The courtroom felt like a stage, and I was forced to play the role of the wronged husband. The faces in the gallery were a blur, their expressions unreadable. I felt utterly alone, isolated in my grief and anger. Therapy. It felt like a last resort, a desperate attempt to make sense of the chaos. I sat on the couch, recounting the events of the past year, trying to unpack the emotional baggage I had been carrying. The therapist listened patiently, offering gentle guidance and support. It was a slow, painful process, but gradually, I started to gain some perspective. I began to understand that the affair wasn't about me, but about Eleanor's own unhappiness, her own unmet needs. It didn't excuse her actions, but it helped me to detach from the anger. I threw myself back into my work. Architecture, the creation of something tangible, something lasting. It was a way to channel my energy, to focus my attention, to escape the pain. The construction site became my sanctuary, a place where I could lose myself in the details, in the precision, in the process of building. The blueprints were my escape, the lines and angles a comforting reminder of order and control. I started to find beauty in the ordinary. A sunset, a child's laughter, the gentle rustling of leaves. Small moments of peace that offered a respite from the turmoil within. I would often sit in the park, watching the children play, their carefree joy a painful reminder of what I had lost. But it also reminded me of the resilience of the human spirit, the ability to find happiness even in the face of adversity. I rediscovered my love of reading. Lost in the pages of novels, I found solace and escape. Stories of love, loss, and redemption offered a glimmer of hope, a reminder that even after the darkest of nights, the sun eventually rises. The library became my refuge, a place where I could lose myself in other worlds, other lives. the chess game remained unfinished. A metaphor for our stalled lives, our unrealized potential. I would often sit at the board, contemplating the next move, trying to find a way to win. But the game felt meaningless, a pointless exercise in strategy. The pieces were just symbols, representing the people in our lives, the choices we made. I started to forgive. It wasn't easy, but I started to forgive Eleanor and myself. For the anger, for the resentment, for the years of wasted time. Forgiveness wasn't about condoning her actions, but about freeing myself from the burden of holding on to the pain. The sunrise felt like a new beginning, a chance to rebuild my life, to create a future filled with hope and possibility. The ocean seemed to whisper, "Let go, and find peace." I planted a rose bush in my garden. A single, vibrant red rose, a symbol of love, loss, and renewal. I tended to it carefully, watering it, pruning it, nurturing it. It was a reminder that even after the harshest of winters, beauty can still bloom. I started sketching again. Something I hadn't done in years. Drawing the world around me, capturing the details, the textures, the emotions. It was a way to reconnect with my creativity, to find beauty in the everyday. I began to meet new people. Reconnect with old friends. Rediscover the joy of human connection. The pain of the past didn't disappear entirely, but it no longer defined me. I bought a new chess set. A beautiful, intricately carved set, a reminder that even after the game is over, there's always a new one to be played. I realized that life is not about avoiding pain, but about learning from it. It is about finding strength in vulnerability, resilience in loss, and hope in the face of adversity. I am still healing, still growing, still learning. The scars of the past may never fully disappear, but they are a reminder of how far I have come. And as the sun sets on another day, I am grateful for the lessons learned, the strength gained, and the hope for the future. The journey has been painful, but it has also been transformative. I am finally free.